Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a blade battle to do for you. It's been a while since I've done a blade battle, and I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun to do some, so might do some others, but here's what I have for you tonight. The Battle of the Pill Holes. That's all I got. Couldn't come up with a good name. This is the F5.5 Voxnez designed, and then we have the Mach 3 from WingmanEDC, Tom Mayo design. This one's the Urban EDC, F5.5 designed by Voxnez. We're going to go over the usual aspects. Why did I put the names there like an idiot? That's so dumb, Kev. Okay. We will put material, like an idiot. I'll put materials down here. We'll still do it first, but I'll cross this out. There we go. And I'll put a line here so we can do totals. All right. So we'll do the normal categories, which are going to be materials, price, perceived value. So those are different. Price is the price. Perceived value is secondary market, etc. Aesthetics, ergos, cutting, carry, sounds, action, fit and finish, leftability, left-handed ability, and that one you can remove if you're right-handed, if that helps. You can remove it and then redo the totals and figure out which one won if that matters to you, but this is really all my opinion and about me, so whichever one wins doesn't mean it's better for you, right? Please remember that here. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you prefer one over the other, why, etc. If you disagree with me on an aspect, all of that stuff. I love having conversations with you guys. If you enjoy the video, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. That's always very helpful. I do have a membership program. If you want to join the memberships, there's a link in the description. So along with affiliate links to different things, discount codes that are just for you guys. I don't make anything off a lot of those codes. Some of them I do. So it all supports the channel. If you go in the description and follow any of those links, I appreciate it. Anyway, Urban EDC Supply is a dealer I work with closely, so I do have an affiliate link for them. And if you're thinking about picking up an F5, you could use that link if you like. The Mach 3, I don't believe any of the dealers I work with have this model. It's a fantastic knife. But if you're interested, I will try to link it down below somehow. So let's get into this. The materials. So this one is interesting because there's different versions of these, right? And we'll talk about that in price as well. So for example, on the F5.5, you have G10 versions, right? You have G10 and blacked out blade versions. These are all M390. So you have a version like this, all blacked out. You have a Stormtrooper version. Both, again, G10 and M390, black coated. Then you have this one in titanium with a hand-rubbed satin and M390. So there's a lot of different versions, right? For materials, you have titanium, G10, micarta, and carbon fiber are the versions they've done. Now, on the Mach 3, you kind of have the same thing. So the Mach 3 comes in a few different fat carbon inlay versions. So it's titanium with fat carbon inlaid over top. And then this is M390. And again, belt satin, hand satin. You can get either one on these. But they also have a budget version of this knife that has a sort of G10, G-Mascus kind of thing going on, and LMAX steel. And it's the same design. It's just a more budget-friendly. It's called the Mach 1. So I don't know how to classify that. Like, this would be kind of the premium, or the Sagaha version of this with the titanium would be kind of the premium version with hand satin, and then you'd have a G10 version, right? So it kind of muddies the waters a little bit. But I'd say overall, this Mach 3 has better materials. The fat carbon for me, knocks it over the top. You still have titanium M390, right? So I would give materials to the Mach 3. So 1 and 0. So then the next one is price. And that's, again, where this factors in. Because technically the Mach 1 in LMAX and G10 is $180. Where the base versions of the F5 were $200. And now they're like $239, I believe. Like this was $239. I believe my Cartas might be $229. So I don't know where to go with that. Am I only basing this on the Mach 3 or does the Mach 1 count, right? Because it's a budgety version of this. Not budget, more affordable. But then you have the G10. So am I just comparing these two? Like, I don't know where to go with that. But I am comparing the F5.5 and the Mach 3 design, which is a little different than the Mach 1. Where the F5s in the affordable versions, or more affordable versions, are still the same exact knife, right? This is sort of a subframe lock. On the Mach 1, it's a liner lock. Clearly a liner lock, right? So I think I'm going to judge it on Mach 3 F5.5, and I'm going to give price to the F5.5 because it's $239 or $229 base. This version right here is $269 or $260, I think I paid. And this was $316 at eKnives. They're normally $340 for belt satin. And then a hand satin like this would be $380, but you have the fat carbon. So you got to balance that. I'm going to give price to the F5.5, but you could technically sway that if you wanted to include the Mach 1. I just want to put that out there if anybody's interested in all these. I'm going to go ahead and remove these again, but I just wanted to show that there are different versions of each knife. And I want to put out there the Mach 1, I highly recommend. It's a fantastic knife. If you don't want to spend $300 plus, you just want to spend like $180. It's very, very good. And another thing I'd like to note is I love both of these knives to death. I highly recommend them both. This one has a couple downsides I don't really that bug me a little bit, but not enough to like not like the knife. This one I love all around. This is, to me, this is the best production knife you can buy. And when I say production, I mean a knife that's regularly in stock. And that's where that comes in to play, because a lot of knives I love just aren't in stock a lot. You know, they do runs and then they're gone or whatever, right? This knife is pretty much regularly in stock in some version and easy to get. You know, this gets dropped in batches, and then once it's gone for another year or whatever. So, yeah. Anyway, we got price nailed down. Perceived value. You know, the F5, I would say, has held value really well. I don't think that if I went to sell this right now, I could sell it for more than I paid. But I don't think I'd lose my shirt either. You know what I mean? I think I would probably get around what I paid. You know, I wouldn't post it for that because I've carried and used it. It probably marked it up a little bit, snail trails, whatever. But yeah, and by the way, this is an aftermarket clip. They usually come with a clip like this that matches the hardware. Just want to point that out. This is a Lynch clip that WingmanEDC had made. So, and this is all stock. Both have skiff bearings in them. So this knife, I would say, has a higher perceived value because back, I mean, it was a while ago, but back a year ago when I bought one secondary, they were like really hard to get, and they were going for at least what they were worth, but a little bit more, I think. There's not as many of these out there, and they are harder to get, you know? So I would put the perceived value on the Mach 3. Now, they did just drop a bunch, so that could change, but as of now, this market is flooded a bit, right? They have a bunch of different versions. Aesthetics. So I love both of these. I think both are good-looking knives. Again, it's one of my favorite knives of all time, if not my favorite. But it's really hard to sit here and try to say that it looks better than this. The fat carbon, the proprietary hardware, it's the one instance where I will say I like this proprietary hardware is aesthetics, and that's why they did it, obviously. No hardware on the clip, although I honestly don't love the end of this clip. Kind of just looks weird to me, but overall, this knife is absolutely stunning with that belt satin. I'm actually more of a belt satin guy than a hand satin guy. The shadow boxing of the titanium around that fat carbon just all together melds really well. Even the speed holes that I normally hate. This knife and other versions of it are good-looking knives, but it's more utilitarian in nature, right? It's a simpler design, sort of. That hand satin is gorgeous, but the blade shape's gorgeous. The hole, it's just not on the same level of aesthetic as this. So Mach 3 wins aesthetics. Ergos. So a lot of people contend that the Mach 3 does not have good ergos, and that's because just like a Kvist knife, this finger choil right here lands in a weird spot for some people. For me, it's perfect. I put my index finger right up here, and my middle finger gets in here, and then the rest of my fingers just kind of fall in line, and it feels phenomenal in my hand. Really enjoy the pinch grip on this one. You can get a nice, comfortable grip because it's, a little bit chamfered here. Just really comfortable knife, in my opinion. And it's thin, Now, the F5.5 is another knife. Some people don't like the finger choil. Yeah, and I'm going to have to do something about this ring eventually. I'm just smacking titanium with it. I'm working on an option, but I don't want to take it up. So this is more comfortable to me. I have a choil that does fit my hand fine, and it's just a little more hand filling, just a little more neutral. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels great. You have that jimping up here from Voxnez. It's not like amazingly more comfortable, but it does feel a little more comfortable. I think being a taller handle helps that a lot. So I'm going to give the ergos to the F5.5. Cutting. So both have flat grinds, right? Both have flat grinds. Both have similar blade stock. Take that back. The F5's a bit thicker, but it's a taller blade, right? So it's going to come down to a thinnish edge from that stock. This would be epic in a full hollow, but it's not. This comes down to a good edge as well. I'd say this feels a little bit thinner than that one does. But for me, it all comes down to the blade shape. And having this sheep's foot blade just allows me to do more EDC type tasks easier than a drop point does. And so having that belly out at the tip, just, I don't know, it's just not as good for getting down into things. I do utility cuts, opening packages. This does great. It came sharp, all the good stuff. They're both M390 from Riot, so very similar on all that. But this is nice and thin enough for me. I mean, it's probably, I don't know. I'm not gonna act like I have hand calipers, but it's, from my experience, it's gonna be around 20 thousandths. But that sheep's foot blade just allows me to get to things easier, and that's what it's all about for me with EDC. So cutting goes to the F5.5. Carry. So both of these actually carry well, but I will say the F5.5 is a bit heavier, and that's this one, I guess. If you counted a G10 one, it's a little lighter, but this is a taller knife. This is a very slim knife, and that makes a difference in the pocket. This carries really well, and the clip is really good, even the stock clip, deep carry, all that good stuff. But this is just a smaller knife. You can tuck it to the corner of your pants and it disappears, right? So I got to give it to the Mach 3 on that one. Sounds. So this one's going to go to the F5 because this one just does not have a good reverberation. You could tell right there. And it's not just that one. I mean, they all have a good, nice thunk to them that just does not have. And I think it's because you have speed holes, which open up the handle, allows acoustics to get out. And then it also has no milling. No internal milling. This doesn't have the speed holes. It doesn't have the milling either, but maybe it reverberates through the titanium or I don't know. But sounds are just better. So sounds go to the F5. Action. This is a good one. So I love the action on both of these. First, the Mach 3 here has this beautiful top flipper mohawk that I call it. Good reach around move. Just really fun to fidget with. You can also reverse flick it. You can thumb flick it. You can slow roll it. Okay, you can, but I just don't do it. And it's too small for me to do it. You can obviously just do the Bic lighter flick. So you have a lot of fun options with this guy, right? And then on the closing, drops. And I should have added this in ergos maybe, but the F5 won anyway. The lock bar access on this is good. You just have to hold it a certain way. The way I always want to hold the knife, it like wants to cut my cuticle. So I have to hold it. Now I'm just trained to do it, but you just have to hold it out kind of like that, and then it comes down on your nail right. Has a good detent. It's not the snappiest detent, but I know why they did it because, you know, that you have to have that top flipper work. So the action's great, right? It doesn't drop shut, but it's pretty smooth. And if you loosen it a little bit, it will drop more. This is rock solid. That's how I like my knives. Dead centered with some effort. I will mention that probably later. Really, really good action. Now, the F5.5 to me is just one of the best action knives there is. It reverse flicks like nobody's business. It drops to your nail and almost guillotine shut. No play, no rock, none of that stuff. It's not just this one. I've had like 20 of these knives. They all just are amazingly well tuned. Trying not to take my thumb off. Like, I'm barely shaking anything. Right? Take a look at this. Drops really nice, but then what? Same kind of shakes. I gotta really shake it down. Is that a big deal? No. But I gotta choose one. The detent just feels crisper on these. Hear that break? Just pops. You can ride the detent till it pops and it really flies out. Try that. Boom. And pop. This one, I could probably fail it if I really tried. It came out, but not as snappy, right? Just doesn't feel as snappy as that. And that's probably because it has the top flipper. It's tuned differently, but still great. But the drop shut, all the good stuff on that really, to me, puts it over the top. As good as they both are. So F5 on action. Okay, fit and finish. This is where, you would think that being a more expensive knife, $340 starting on this one, being, the camo carbon and all this shit, or fat carbon and all this shit, that this one would have a little bit better fit and finish, right? Both are made by Riot. But there's some issues here, right? It looks nicer. It's got the, shadow boxed, inlaid perfectly fat carbon and the proprietary hardware and that clip that's mounted without screws. And so, it looks better. Like if you look at the clip on here, the screws are not flush. Like that's a little bit annoying, right? That's really it though for like complaints. There's no lock bar insert, but it's a liner lock and it's titanium liner lock. And it's, 200 this is $240. That one's $270. This knife is $340 starting. It does not have a lock bar insert. And I know that that's weird because I just said this one didn't have it and didn't complain about it. But this is a liner lock, right? It's just different to me. Like, this is a sub frame lock. They make a frame lock version of this knife. And it does not have, that one's $280, I think. So it's a bit less. But it does not have a steel insert. Like, that is weird to me. It really is. And at this price point, I just feel like I want that steel insert. Is it the end of the world? No. I've had to deal with cleaning the tang off a few times, and I had to take the knife apart once to clean it out because I was getting stick. Have never had stick issues on an F5. So that's one thing. Another thing, fit and finish wise, that's where I'm going to put it in the category. The proprietary hardware just drives me up the wall. I don't know why they couldn't have just put a T8 in the middle of that and called it a day. Like, what, and then same thing here. Just use a torque screw. Because what they do is they include a tool. And the tool works fine. It's this little bomb thing. It is annoying to use because you have to, hold it with one hand. But it only works on one side. It does not work on both sides because these little propellers are angled the opposite way on one side. And it's a spinning pivot. So you have a spinning pivot and you have one tool. So you can't Loctite your knife or anything because how are you going to get it right? Like that whole problem is annoying. Now I've figured out a workaround for that. You can watch a short I did on it. Basically use a certain size spanner bit. I think it's a spanner bit. Anyway, it said U2.8, I think, on it. And that will actually notch in between these propellers and it'll work. So you could use that if you want. It doesn't work on this clip screw, but you should be able to use the tool for that. So that bugs me a little bit. I just hate proprietary hardware. They do include the tool, but enough people have complained about it. Just change it. I don't know why they didn't do torques on this run. Then, the other thing is the clip and the clip screw have way too much impact on the centering. So I have dicked around with the centering on this knife so much. And finally, I have it perfectly centered, glued. It's hopefully just going to stay like this forever because I don't want to freaking mess with it again. Like, it's one of those where I was at the point of, I'm just going to sell this knife and get rid of it because it's just annoying to deal with. Basically, once you do get this centered, because I had to flip the pivot around to finally get it to center up, if you tighten this, it pulls the blade one way. If you loosen it, it kind of pulls it back. So you have to kind of get it at this perfect spot, and then you got to make sure it's not wiggling because it's got to be tight. This screw goes through and into this clip. And that's why, because you have a screw here and a screw here, and that kind of does all the work. You don't have body screws and shit along the way. You have a pin in here, which I'm going to get to in a second. So that's really annoying. And then lastly, the pin, it was rattling. I literally was it was freaking rattling the knife, and I was annoyed. So that was another reason I took it apart, and I realized these pins, I don't know if it was just that one or these. I'm guessing it was this one because there's a pin under here. I'm guessing it was this one because there's not tension on it like this, right? So I took it apart and I like poured Loctite in all the holes and then put it back together, and now there's no rattle. But a $340 knife should not have something like that, right? So that's why, even though this looks like it should be the one that wins, the F5 is going to win the fit and finish category. Both are made by Riot, though, so they're both really well made. I had to point that out. Leftability. So they're both really good left-handed. I can easily reverse flick this one left-handed. I can easily thumb flick this one left-handed. It does not have a reversible clip. Ergos are fine left-handed. This one, I can reverse flick left-handed. I can thumb flick left-handed. I can top flip left-handed. I can reach around left-handed. It does not have a reversible clip. So, I would have to give this one a tie because I literally can't really give one. The only thing you could say is maybe that technically this isn't a liner lock. You could put pressure here, but I've never had it lock up on me. So I see no difference. And so I don't think there's really a fair answer to this. So I'm just going to give them both a point. All right. So that is where we're at. And let's tally them up. F5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And your Mach 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 to 5. The F5.5 is victorious over the Mach 3. And this is kind of how I saw it going. I figured it would be close and the F5 would take it just because I personally do love the F5. It's one of my favorite knives, so it wins these a lot. But that's just because, obviously it's all my opinion. So curious to see which one you think wins. I, again, think both are fantastic knives. If I had like a recommended list, they would both be on it, highly on it. This one just has a few drawbacks more than this one. This one really, the clip maybe is the biggest drawback for most people. And, yeah, that's really it, honestly. I can't think of many other reasons not to want this guy. You have so many options and whatever. Just love the knife overall. Fantastic. But same right here. So let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you checking out the blade battle. The F5.5 has remained victorious. It has won a lot of these battles, and for good reason. So I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.